Here is my recap of Dexter Season 3, Episode 6, entitled Si Se Puedo. In this episode, Dexter is Robin to Miguel Prado's Batman. They kind of do a team-up in this episode, and we find out a little bit about what's happening behind the curtains with Prado and his line of thinking. His brother goes up for investigation, and we've got more with the CI, with the AI, Internal Investigations, going after Quinn. Let's find out how this episode goes here. At the beginning of the episode, we've got Miguel Prado and Dexter out on a boat fishing, and that's when Prado starts poking at him, asking him about how he killed Ethan in the last episode and what it was like. Dexter doesn't really want to open up like that, but that's when Prado mentions, let's do this together. Dexter's not sure if he wants to open up that side of him to anybody yet. But they do sit down, and Dexter devises a plan to kind of scare Prado off, to make sure, so he can go in a different direction and not go and do this. And they sit down, and Dexter has somebody from his past that he's always wanted to kill, but is in custody in prison. And he tells Prado, the only way we're going to do this is if you can let me get to him while he's imprisoned. And Prado is, telling him, I don't know if I can do that. And then he does actually come through and say, yeah, actually, I think I can do this for you, which surprises Dexter. Dexter's like, okay, maybe we'll go through with this. So they do end up going through with it. And Prado comes up with this scheme to give the guy the key while he's in custody in court. He's about to go back into court for an arraigning. And he gives him the key to get loose and tells him, go out the door. There's somebody out there to get you. So Dexter is out there ready to receive him and says this guy's like a Nazi. He's a white supremacist. And so Dexter, says I can't remember what he said, something like white power, Nazi or Heil Hitler or something like that. I can't remember what he said. But he said something to, show the guy that he's just like him. And Dexter definitely isn't, because Dexter has been wanting to kill this guy for a while. So he ends up getting him out, and that's when another guard was actually going to go in to get this prisoner. And that's when Prado tries to stop him, because Prado, left the key for him, and he might be getting out at the time the security guard goes in there. That's when the alarms go off in the parking garage, and Dexter has to hide behind a pillar with this guy. Prado comes out from the court building and starts getting the officers to go around, and Dexter thinks he's done. His father, his dark passenger, his father had been warning him in a previous scene. He's been thinking about this, saying he's not there to help you. He's going to take care of himself before he ever helps you. And so Dexter's sitting there thinking he's caught, but to his rescue comes Miguel Prado with his vehicle and says, get in, we'll get you out, we'll get you to your car, and then you can go to the kill area, and I'll meet you there. So Dexter feels relieved. He takes the guy to a different location. Prado's going to show up, and they do this thing where it goes back and forth with the camera, shows Dexter getting ready to kill this guy. We got Prado coming up to the building, and you find out that Dexter sent him to an empty house. He's not ready to share that intimate part of him of actually killing somebody with anybody else, and Prado realizes this. So that's Dexter's kind of kill in this episode, and he's getting a very tight bond with Miguel Prado. They're really good friends now, and Dexter thinks it's really interesting that he can actually have a friend, and he welcomes that mutual friendship at this stage. Now, Prado's brother also goes under investigation, because at the very beginning of this episode, we get the 15-year-old kid that went in for questioning in the previous episode, which was the kid that originally got Dexter at the drug house and let him in the very first episode of the season. He went in for questioning last episode, and he ends up dead in this episode. We got the Skinner coming out and took almost half of the whole front of his body and skinned it off. And this horrifies Dexter's sister, Deborah. Like, she can't handle it. And that's when she thinks that there's got to be somebody in the police department that is giving this information out, because everybody that goes in, that she goes into question in regards to Freebo and trying to find Freebo, they end up dead and skinned. And so she's not so sure that Freebo's the killer anymore. She actually talks with her brother, and he floats the idea that this is probably another law enforcement person because we're not giving this information out. And that's when he comes up with Prado's, or Miguel Prado's brother, because his brother is kind of off the handle, a little bit crazy, and is not the most stable person. Deborah does follow him, and Deborah finds out that he does kidnap somebody out on the road while he's looking for Freebo, and takes him to a building. That's when Deborah calls Quinn and says, "Can you come help me?" So they watch as he kind of tortures this guy a little bit. He never finds out where Freebo is. And Freebo's dead, obviously, so this guy can't answer him. So Deborah and Quinn are watching off to the side while he's kind of torturing this guy a little bit, and he's just about to skin him and pulls out this blade, and they're like, "We got him." And that's when he cuts the guy loose and lets him go. So instantly, Deborah knows he's not the skinner. He's not the killer. But they do take this information back to La Huerta, and they're going to arrest him on kidnapping and unlawful, imprisonment charges and kidnapping. So he's going to be brought in, which I'm sure isn't going to go over with Miguel, but we don't see that happen in this episode. We also got a little bit with Rita. Rita is, since she's been fired from her job from being emotional and having the child, she doesn't know what she's going to do for a job. And that's when Prado's wife says, "Hey, you know what? Have you ever thought about getting into real estate?" And she's like, "Me? I've never really thought about that." She says, "Well, you know what? Start work tomorrow. I need an assistant. This will give you a good insight into the industry, and we can work together." So it looks like Prado's family is getting really close with Dexter and Rita. So we got a lot of interesting things going on in the season. We had Dexter's dad show up a lot in this episode, and he, kind of tried to guide him along the way as he's going through all of this. And we now officially get that term, dark passenger. That's what he considers his father, is his dark passenger who's always with him, trying to give him advice. So he's trying to, it seems like unconsciously, he's trying to trust his dad a little bit more with that inner monologue, but not entirely, because his dad told him, Miguel's not going to save you, and he actually did in this episode. So we're going to see what goes on forward. This is the halfway point in the season. I'll have the next review up shortly. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you like the video. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You will be notified when new videos go up. I'm going to continue to review every single episode from here on out, and up until the new season. So you're going to get every episode recapped all the way through season 8 until episode 9 gets released next year in 2021 on Showtime.